Here I have, to me, an icon of UK drama, and her name is Jenny Seagrove. Jenny, I'm delighted you're on.
How you doing? I'm really happy to be on your iconic Bobcast. That's it.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't say podcast, but it's a Bobcast.
Well, I call it it's the pod blast, but listen.
Oh, it's a pod
you can call it whatever you want. But absolutely fantastic. But it's just great to have you on here, and it's just for years. I grew up watching, like a lot of the dramas and stuff, especially. I could remember like A Woman of Substance and all those shows, and I remember my parents just watching it on the TV and just like watching you, especially. And it's just fantastic. Just great to have you on. Honestly, it's fantastic.
Well, that Woman of Substance, it inspired a whole generation of women to start their own businesses, and it really did.
Absolutely.
And it broke all the ratings records for Channel 4 and also in America. Absolutely. It was a real sensation. I was a privilege to be part of it.
Absolutely. And it's like, that's what I'm saying. Well, a lot of women, looked to you, well, your character in it, that did it. And that was absolutely fantastic. But obviously, you don't even look old, and it's like you've been around for a while, and it's mental, it's just crazy. But what I was going to ask you was, did you always want to become an actress? And how did it all start with you?
Oh, it's funny the journey we take. I wanted to be a vet. I was a very shy little girl in Malaysia, which is where I was born, and I grew up until I was sent off to boarding school. And I had glasses. I was sort of dumpy, and I couldn't get a boyfriend. And I wanted to be a vet. That's all I wanted to do. But I always played the leads in the school plays because I had short hair a lot of the time. So I got given the lead, and I was quite good at it. So they kept giving me the leads. And I got my science A-levels. In those days, we did A-levels. And I woke up one morning and I thought, I can't be a vet. I'm too soft. Somebody says, what's wrong with my dog? I'll have to say, it's going to die. I'm afraid we've got to put it down, and burst into tears. I can't do that. So I thought, okay, I can't be a vet. What am I going to do? Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, I've been quite good at acting. I fancy being an actress. So I said to my mum, I've changed my mind. I'm going to be an actress. And I remember her face, all the color drained out of it. And she said, but darling, you always wanted to be a vet. And I went, I know, but I don't think I'll be a very good vet. I've changed my mind. And bless her, she said, well, we'll support you, but you've got to do one of two things in case you're ever out of work. You've got to either do a secretarial course or you've got to learn to cook properly. So I said, well, nothing is ever going to get me in an office, so I'll learn to cook. So I did Mrs. Russell's 3-star School of Cookery in London, which was hilarious. I borrowed someone's flat and nearly set the place on fire.
Oh, brilliant.
And I've never had to use it, thank goodness. But again, in those days, we got grants. Mm-hmm. And I auditioned, and I wanted to go to the Bristol Old Vic Theatre School, and I got in. And the rest is sort of history. And the people I trained with is an extraordinary group because I did the 3-year course. And in my 3 years was Danny Day-Lewis. We had Miranda Richardson, Greta Scacchi, Alex Jennings, Amanda Redman. Just an extraordinary, and the more people, but an extraordinary group of people.
Did you work on any shows with these people? Like when you were...
Oh, yes. I've got pictures of me and Danny in the island. And Miranda and I, in the end of term shows, you had to share a part because there were 2 performances of each production. Mm-hmm. And we both played Desdemona in Othello. So one night it was me and the other night it was her. And Alex, I know I did some stuff with. It was an amazing time. So I've been so lucky, I tell you, so lucky.
Fantastic. Over the years, you appeared, obviously, I know you from your TV and stuff, but you appeared on numerous theatre plays as well. Did any of them stand out? That bring you great memories at all?
Well, the trouble is, too many stand out. Theatre is my bread and butter. It's where you go to really learn your craft. And what breaks my heart is nowadays young actors don't get the chance because there's not many reps left. In fact, I don't think there are any reps at all. They just have tours coming in. And, you know, straight plays are going into the books of history. It's really just musicals and thrillers that go around. And it's really upsetting because, you know, there's nothing better than taking a play out in front of an audience and learning because the audience teaches you. But I remember my first West End play was Present Laughter, which I did with Tom Conti. And Tom played Gary, and he asked me to play the vamp in it, Joanna, who's normally played rather brittle and rather British. And for some reason, he decided that she should be Russian. So my Joanna was Gary, darling, Gary. And we sort of changed the dialogue from Noel Coward, sort of, you know, I've lost my latchkey, to darling, I've lost my latchkey. And what happened is it released the comedy. And the really rather unpleasant, brittle character became this completely outrageous foreigner who could get away with anything. It was brilliant. And it was such fun. But working with Tom is always, I mean, I've worked with him since. I adore the man and he's terribly clever. But there was one show where I had two very similar lines. It's a long run. And she replies to the second line. And I look at her and I think, I don't know what to say now because I've said the wrong thing. And for some reason, it doesn't occur to me to just carry on. So I think, okay, I'll ask Tom because he'll have been listening. He'll know what to say. So I say, got it. What do you think? And he's been asleep on the sofa, basically, having a nap. And he says, oh, I don't know. I wasn't listening. So I start to laugh and my shoulders are starting to heave. Tom's starting to heave. Judy Lowe is starting to heave. And Tom leaves the stage because we're not going to get anywhere now. The audience is now starting to laugh. And I think, well, if Gary's left the stage, Joanna would leave the stage. So I leave the stage. And Judy Lowe thinks to herself, well, I'm leaving the stage. I'm not staying here by myself. So the audience is now left with a completely empty stage and three actors who are in pieces. And of course, it's mayhem backstage because, you know, you've got the prompt corner with the DSM, the deputy stage manager, and we're all going, what's next? What's the line? What's the line? And we come back on and we start again. The audience applauds. It was one of the funniest things that I didn't panic ever. But it was the fact that Tom just said, well, I don't know. I wasn't listening. And then we get to the same place, the next light, and I get my lines right. So does Judy. And there's a pause because Tom's got the next line and he's done it on purpose because he wants to think he's dried. And another time I decided, because he's so hard to get to corpse, and not that one should try and get people to corpse, but it does happen. I decided to invest, because I wear contact lenses, in some brown contact lenses. And I thought, I'm not going to tell him. I'm just going to come on stage and hopefully he'll do a double take and not remember his line or something like that. And I've got him, you know. Well, I put my lenses in and I arrive, and within literally 2 minutes, he says, darling, what lovely eyes you have, which is a complete ad lib. And who went? I went. I completely was on the floor. So it doesn't happen often with me. I'm hugely professional, but we did have some fun. We did have a lot of fun in Present Laughter.
Oh, brilliant. Honestly, it's like, you know, it's like a lot of people would just crumble.
Oh, I never crumble, no. As long as if you corpse or if you lose a line and you do it with confidence, the audience love it. They absolutely love it. I mean, it's normally me that gets people out of trouble, thankfully, because I don't often lose a line. But to do a comedy, I mean, I did Absurd Person Singular and also What the Other Half Loves, 2 8-born plays. And to hear that gales of laughter just rolling from the audience to you. And I remember a moment in The Constant Wife where I had the audience in my hand. They were laughing and then suddenly they found themselves crying. And it's so exciting. And there was another amazing show I did called The Miracle Worker with Catherine Holman playing the girl who lost her eyes. My brain's gone. Helen Keller, thank you.
Yes.
Helen Keller. And I played Annie Sullivan. And at the very end of the play, we did a couple of theatres, a comedy, and then there was a flood, so we moved to Wyndham's, and we were absolutely full to the rafters for the final performance. And I remember I was deeply, deeply moved by the whole experience, because they are extraordinary, Helen Keller and Annie Sullivan. And I remember at the very end, Helen realizes what Annie's trying to teach her with sign language, and touches the water and comes to Annie and is signing. And little Catherine was doing this, but I didn't see her. I swear to you, I saw Helen Keller coming towards me. It was the most profound moment, probably in my entire career.
Fantastic. And, you know, it's like, apart from acting the part, you've got to be the part, obviously.
Oh, totally. 100%.
And, you know, it gives you a lift as well when you see someone that can be that person, you know, that they're trying to act, and it's fantastic. But yeah, but I mean, going back to the Acheborn plays, I mean, years ago, I was in an Acheborn play. It was called Season's Greetings. And which involved a lot of like puppetry and stuff, and which was fun. But yeah, that was years ago. Season's Greetings.
You know, Alan Acheborn says to actors, my scripts, my plays are like trains. All you have to do is get on the train. You don't have to wave out of the windows. And it's right. All you have to do is trust the text, be the character, and trust the text, and he'll do everything for you. The man's a genius. Fantastic. Total genius.
Absolutely fantastic. And especially, you know, it's like there's so many fantastic playwrights, you know, that you can get inspiration from, you know, and especially someone like yourself. I mean, God, you've done so much. But you know what? It's like going on to television. It's like, I mean, we all know that you've been on lots of stuff on the TV, but I didn't actually realize you were on Local Hero.
That was my first ever full-length feature film. And I'd done a short called A Shocking Accident, which actually won an Oscar for Best Short. And I got Local Hero, and it was just thrilling. It was one of the happiest jobs I've ever had. Not only is your Scotland, Bobby, just beautiful, but Bill Forsyth is a genius. There we are. I've worked with a few. Aren't I lucky? And he gathered together, because David Putnam produced it. They gathered together a wonderful crew who were so prepared and so delightful that we even stopped to watch the Derby at 4 o'clock on a shooting day in the middle of the sand dunes. They'd rigged up a television. That's how just chilled they were. Oh, it was really a truly, truly joyous experience.
Fantastic.
Really wonderful. We did have to do some of the sea scenes a couple of times, because it was very, very cold. And even though I was wearing a wetsuit, I came out and I was blue in the rushes. So we had to reshoot on a sunny day. So they were giving me doses of brandy behind the rock just to keep me going again, which I now find is the worst thing you can do, because it dilates it opens up all your veins. And of course you lose heat faster, but I wasn't saying no to a tot of brandy. I loved it. And I saw it just recently, and it still speaks. It still works. It still lives. And Peter Capaldi, I remember the screen test. It was me and Peter Capaldi down at Bray Studios by the side of a little stream. And there we are, all these years on, getting old.
Fantastic. And I mean, did you actually get to work with Bert Lancaster?
Well, weirdly, I've actually done 2 shows with Bert Lancaster, I Promessi Sposi and Local Hero. And on neither occasion did I have one scene with Bert. So the short answer is no, but I did have dinner with him, because my ex from a long time ago, Michael Winner, knew him very well. And we went out to Hollywood a few times and had dinner with Bert, and he was an absolute gentleman. Lovely, lovely man.
Yeah, I've been hearing stories about when Bert Lancaster, when he was doing Local Hero, and he came to Edinburgh, and he went to one of the bars in Edinburgh, just off Princes Street, called the Café Royal, and he went in, and the place was quite busy, and he went and got everyone a drink in the bar.
Sounds like Bert.
So
he was a special man.
absolutely fantastic acting. Just a great man, legend.
Oh, and a circus performer. That's how he started life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Extraordinary, but with such a twinkle.
Absolutely.
Just
I saw that
they
film.
broke the mold.
Yeah, what was that film he was in years ago where he played this? Where he played the
Yes, the acrobat. My Bill would know. I'm hopeless. I'm hopeless on names, so don't ask me.
No problem, no problem.
I can see a picture of him in my mind, but I can't give you the name of the film. You've got people now listening to this and watching it, shouting the name at you.
Well, you know what?
Like Pointless.
Well, you know what? I mean,
or Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Yeah, go on. I'm interrupting you.
Well, if my dad was here, he would have just told me it like that, because years ago, I remember my dad got me to watch it and it was fantastic. You know, it was like Bert Lancaster. Was Kirk Douglas in it as well?
Yes, I think he was.
I think he was in it, yeah.
I think he was.
It was just a fantastic...
I think it may have been called The Acrobat, but I'm not entirely sure. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to Google it.
That's all right. That's okay. Now, you know, obviously, I mentioned A Woman of Substance, and like we played the part of Emma and Emma Hart, and it's like, I thought you were fantastic. I mean, what was your actual memories from being on it? I mean, did you think it was going to be so? Like when you were on it, did you get that little feeling thinking, I think this is going to do really, really well? Did you ever?
No, we worked far too hard. It was made on a very low budget, and by Diane Baker produced it, and she mortgaged her own house, and she stayed a really, really good friend. I still see her nowadays. Yeah. And I had no idea at all. Weirdly, it's funny what life throws at you. When I was doing a film in New Zealand the year before, I bought A Woman of Substance at the airport because I read the back and I thought, I'm going to buy the rights to this and I'm going to do it, because who would ever cast me as a Yorkshire chambermaid? And literally, I was in Paris doing a film and I got a call from my agent. They want to see you for A Woman of Substance. And I was like, wow. So I flew over and did the test and I got it. And I think part of the reason I got it was because I looked a bit like Deborah Carr, who, by the way, was, what a lady she is. What a sense of humor she's got. A real twinkle and wonderful. But no, we worked, hugely long days, and sometimes 10 or 12 days without a day off, because you could then, and we just had to get it done. And some days I'd be changing age through the days. And I had a wonderful, wonderful makeup artist called Tom Smith, who'd done all the Hollywood greats. And he'd just have me in the caravan and he'd either be aging me up or aging me down. And we didn't use latex or anything like that, because I stopped age at 50 and then Deborah took over. And he said, no, we'll do it with hair and with a little bit of shading and then your own attitude, because age is an attitude and you have to understand that the body seizes up a bit, that you get more mature, your voice gets a bit deeper, all of that stuff. And so as Emma got older, she sort of got less lightweight, more centered, a little slower. And so that's how we aged. But when they'd come knocking on the trailer door saying, Jenny, are you ready? And Tom would say, no, we'll be as long as we need to be. And he'd say to me, just take your time. You just need to center yourself. And they waited. We never kept them waiting long, but he made space for me to take as much time as I needed to just prepare for the next scene, because I was in everything and it was insane.
I mean, it won a lot of awards, didn't it?
I have no idea.
I'm sure
all I do know is that people loved it and it inspired people, and that's good enough for me.
Absolutely fantastic. And you know, if you know that you've inspired, especially women, in a film like that, and if you know that you've made your mark that way, you know, it must feel really, really good as well. You know,
well, it does, because you know what it's like, Bobby. You're an actor. Sometimes, as an actor, you think, I'm not doing a job that's really important. It's not, you know, I should be doing something a bit more special for the world, something that really matters. And actually, that I did have a sort of a crisis about, gosh, how many years ago? Probably 15 years ago, where I thought, I'm a good actress, but I feel I should be doing something more at the coal face for animals. And then I thought about it long and hard, and I thought, no, I'll stay acting, because at least if I keep getting a little bit of a profile, I can speak with passion about animals and change people's hearts and minds that way. Mm-hmm. And then literally 5 years later, I was in a position where I started a charity called Main Chance, which has got rescued horses and hens and a dog. And suddenly I'm at the coalface of animal welfare, but I'm also still an actress. So be careful what you wish for the universe sometimes provides it. But I also know from looking back and from feedback people have given me that I've changed people's lives. I've given them hope where they've lost it. I've made them laugh at a time when they needed it. I've helped them understand their own life situation or something that's happening in their own life. So, and my ex-husband used to say, if there weren't theatres, there'd be more hospitals. And I never quite understood, but I think I do now. I think the arts, and especially performance, is really, really important for people's mental health. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's a drive to get rid of the arts from the curriculum. And I think you do that at your peril. I really do.
You know, it's just, you know, I remember not so long ago, I think it was one of the MPs said, you know, like for those that want to be an actor, you know, find another career. And I thought that was...
Oh, yeah, that was in the lockdown, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, just go and find another career. Well, I can't tell you the backlash from that. Yeah. How dare he? How dare he? You know.
but I mean, there was a backlash from that, and you know, it's it's something that's your passion, you know, and for some Joe to come up and just tell you, you know, find another career, you know, forget it.
And if you've done it, if that's all you've done all your life, and now some people did leave the business and go and find another career. Mm-hmm. But for others, they took standby jobs. I mean, one of the lads in Hamlet that we did last year on stage at Windsor, mm-hmm. he was an Amazon delivery driver, mm-hmm. and good for him. You know, mm-hmm. I believe this lad has everything he needs to go on and be a hugely successful actor. Mm-hmm. But he was an Amazon driver, mm-hmm. and people had to do anything to survive.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at what happened during the war, I mean, actors during the war, I mean, a lot of them had to get conscripted,
yeah,
you know, into the army and stuff, you know, and
yeah.
You know, so
and those that didn't, who stayed actors, were doing performances while the bombs dropped, you know, which is just inconceivable to think about. Yeah, really, it's just like, wow, you know, we think we've struggled through a pandemic. We've not really struggled through anything. I mean, we have, and people have lost mm-hmm. lives. So don't let me, you know, downplay that. But, mm-hmm. you know, 2 generations before us went through 2 world wars. And when I'm down, I have to remind myself what people have really gone through for me to walk the streets and be free. And, you know, I'm grateful. I'm really grateful.
Yeah. And, you know, when people often moan, especially, I mean, obviously it's a bad time, the pandemic, but I mean, there's people a whole lot worse off than us.
Yeah, and I think so.
Yeah, and I often say that to myself, you know, it's like, sometimes you wake up in the morning, or you know, if you have to do something, or you have to go somewhere, you're like, oh, you know, but then you think, you know, there are people that are worse off than you, and just be grateful that you're kind of like still alive and you're able to do things.
Absolutely.
You know,
I give myself a stern talking to whenever I go a bit negative.
Right. Now, I mean, you've worked on the Sherlock Holmes series, and I thought you were just one episode, but you worked in a couple of episodes.
No, it was just the one. It was just the one. I did Granada's first feature film with Jeremy Brett, who was mm-hmm. one. It was The Sign of 4. Mm-hmm. I think what's affecting you is that I did another Sherlock Holmes with Christopher mm-hmm. Lee,
right.
and that was for Harmony Gold in America.
Right, that's what I got mixed up.
So two completely different production companies, but both great fun, and both very, very different Sherlock Holmes, but both amazing men and amazing actors, and I adored both of them.
You know what? I mean, every now and then, I mean, if I've been away somewhere, if I come back and I'll stick the TV on, and sometimes on ITV3 or ITV4, Sherlock Holmes with Jeremy Brett's on. I love it. I absolutely love it. But you know what? Actually, years ago, I had a chance of working with Christopher Lee. and it was in when he was in the Greyfriars Bobby movie, which was being shot in Edinburgh. And I had, it was one of his assistants. I was going to get a part as one of his assistants because he played the, was it the Lord Provost? I think he played the Edinburgh Lord Provost. But then what happened was the filming got cancelled, and they ended up recasting my part, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh,
how dare they, Bobby? How dare they? Their loss.
Yeah, and I was so looking forward to working with him.
Yeah, I'll bet you were. He told a good story, did Chris Lee?
Just an amazing man. I mean, when I see him, you're lucky to have met him and spoke with him, and I've always wanted to work with him because I've always loved like horror films, and especially, I've always wanted to be in the Hammer films, but
I did a Hammer House of Horror.
Did you?
I did one long time ago, yes, with the face from the A-Team, Benedict.
Dirk Benedict.
Dirk Benedict, that's
Dirk
right,
Benedict.
Yes. Yeah.
But it would have been great to have worked on those. I heard rumours that Hammer House of Horror was coming back. They were going to be making new ones.
I've heard rumours as well. I have no idea if it's true.
Because, I used to love the music for it was really, it was really oppressing, but brilliant, absolutely fantastic. But honestly, lucky you, Jen. But Jeremy and Brett, obviously you spoke about Christopher Lee. What was Jeremy and Brett like? Was he?
I loved him. He was not the same kind of person as Chris Lee. Chris loved to chat and tell stories. Jeremy was much more self-contained, but he had an amazingly generous heart. And I remember I used to go to Hollywood quite a lot, and I'd book myself into the Beverly Hills Hotel. And they've got a beautiful swimming pool. And I remember, young actress, I walked down to the pool, thought I'll have an hour just sitting in the sun and a bit of a swim. And this voice, Jenny, was like, and it was Chris, not Jeremy, sitting by the pool. He said, come over. So we sat down and had a chat. And he started telling me the parts that I should play, that I was right for. He told me I should play the young character in Summer and Smoke, Tennessee Williams. He said, oh, you'll be wonderful in that. And I just thought, how lovely. You're bothering to give me career advice from the poolside of the Beverly Hills Hotel. He was just really a very, very special man. Very special.
Fantastic. Because when you watch one of his episodes or one of his TV movies, you just want to watch more and more of him, and he's a fantastic actor. He draws you in when he does. It's absolutely fantastic. Now, you worked on A Course of Disapproval. There was so many. So much talent in that. You had Anthony Hopkins. Must have been fantastic working with him. Jeremy Irons, Prunella, all these people.
Bruce Scales, Sylvia Sims. It went on. Yeah, it was a hell of a cast list. Wow. And each one of them was very, very different. Anthony was sort of bonkers, and but then I think he sort of absorbs the parts he plays, and his character was bonkers. And he's a brilliant mimic. Oh my God, he had me on the floor with his mimicking. Jeremy is a wonderful leading man, and again, terribly attractive and funny. And Sylvia became a very good friend of mine. It was great fun, and I did have a blast because I was playing Faye, who was the local wife swapper, and I had my kind of blonde Marilyn Monroe wig, and I just had a laugh. I just had a real laugh playing completely against what I was normally cast in. I don't think it was the best film ever, but it was a lot of fun to make.
Yeah, and it's like, you were with a lot of really charismatic people there, especially like Prunella Scales. She would have been fun.
She was. She liked to sew. I think it was designs on underpants, but she found it quite therapeutic because there's a lot of waiting around. So she'd get her sewing, and she'd be just sewing away. And she was very dry, Prue. Lovely lady.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Now, you know what? you told me you did the comedy stuff and that, and I've kind of really just saw you like doing like drama things. I mean, obviously you did like Casualty, you did Peak Practice, you were in Lewis with Kevin Whately. I mean, do you kind of have a preference to what you would like, if it's drama or comedy? Or
I like making people laugh. I really like making people laugh. But I don't particularly just want to do a sort of feather duster sitcom. I like a really well-written piece that's comedy. So like your Eight-Borns or your Noel Cowards, or even I've been doing, beginning of last year, the two-man show that's Love Letters with Martin Shaw. Martin and I did it in Windsor and then at the West End. And my character is really funny. And I love to just smell out a laugh and just time it. And the audience is where the audience teaches you again. They just teach you that if you just bend the word there, or you pause for that long there, boom. And it's like a bullseye when you get it right. And when you don't get it right, you say, oh, they didn't laugh. What did I do differently? I mean, Noel Coward, it's an old adage, isn't it? And he gave a note to a young actress who was in a tea scene. And he said, darling, he said, you asked for a laugh. You didn't ask for a cup of tea. And the truth is you have to play the situation and not play the comedy. And then people will laugh. They'll find it funny. They'll laugh. But if you start playing the comedy, the audience goes, oh, well, you're asking for a laugh. I'm not going to laugh. Do you know what I mean?
That's the thing, though. It's like you'll find as well, I mean, every night you'll probably get a different audience. Oh,
totally. And also, if you go on tour, audiences around the country are very different. You Scots, you're quite hard to please up there, but when they like you, they really like you and they show it. Same with Liverpool. And Southern audiences are quite well behaved. They're frightfully sort of, we don't give ourselves away very, but they're different. They're very different to play to.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that about, like, obviously about the different audiences and stuff. I mean, years ago, you're talking way back in 1999, I actually played Albert Einstein on stage, believe it or not.
Oh, wow, lovely.
And I did a play, and it was about time travel, and it was about one of Einstein's heroes, a guy called James Clerk Maxwell, who was into his physics, and it kind of helped Einstein with his E equals MC squared. And what we did was, I mean, when we did the actual show, it was, I mean, a lot of the dialogue in it was scientific jargon. And I still remember one of the lines I had. One of the lines I had was, it showed all that was known of electromagnetic phenomena could be represented by his well-known double system of partial differential equations, not capable of mechanical interpretation, and a whole lot more. That was one of the lines I had.
Whoa!
And what had happened was we played the actual play in front of, it was like professors. It was just like an audience of professors. And some of the lines that we had in it, they were like, they thought it was brilliant. They thought it was fantastic. Whereas you get an audience and people just coming off the street, you maybe...
They don't know. They don't have the in. Yes.
You just maybe got a few wee, but just a few little chortles, but no, but I mean, you had a different audience. Most other audiences found it more funnier than others, but that was like, it kind of opened my eyes seeing something like that, and it's like, you're thinking, you're asking yourself, was that funny? But obviously the scientific audience thought that it was brilliant,
Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. But I mean, talking about working with, sorry, I'm just getting my questions here. Working with Martin Shaw, it's like you did obviously Judge John Deed. Now, what was it like working with him on that?
That was great. I'd worked with him on stage in a production of Vertigo, so I knew him as an actor, and I knew we had what they call good chemistry.
Yeah.
And he was cast in The Deed, and he suggested me to the producer, who said, lovely, thank you. And we both have very similar attitudes to animal welfare. We're both
good.
Vegetarian, vegan, and so is the producer. And so it was a vegetarian set, which I have to say the crew were pretty disgusted about. But, if you wanted to work on John Deed, you had a vegetarian set, and that's all there was to it. So Martin and I were thrilled about that. But we trust each other. We're good friends. We've got chemistry, and chemistry is just about listening to each other as an actor. If you listen to the other actor, you'll have chemistry because you're interested. And acting is all listening and reacting. So whenever I work with Martin, I feel like I've come into a safe place where I can take risks because I know he's there to catch me and I'm there to catch him. And it's very exciting.
He is a fantastic actor, and he's been around for such a long time as well. And, it's just, when you watch Judge John Deed, it's like you could tell the two years that you both enjoy working with one another and great chemistry. And your character on it is Joe. You could tell that you love playing that character. That's lovely to see.
She's a flawed woman. She's very bright. She's very feisty in terms of fighting for the underdog. And what's not to love, And she gives the judge as good as she gets. So what's not to love her? I loved playing Jo. Absolutely loved her.
You know what? You've actually whet my appetite. I'm going to start watching that again on. I don't know. Are they still got on UK Gold or something? I'm going to start.
Oh, something. Yeah, they churn them out. Yeah, I think we did 7 series.
Oh,
we
honestly,
filmed it from 2000 to 2007. And when you think about it, it's 22 years ago that we started. It feels like yesterday. That's really scary.
And the thing was, from what I remember, you had people in it like Christopher Casanova and and who's
we had a lot of John Sessions was in it, Casanova, all sorts of people, all sorts of amazing people were in it.
Donald Sinden.
Donald Sinden, yes. God bless him.
And it's like, I remember when I was a kid, Donald Sinden was maybe partly kind of one of the reasons I kind of loved comedy, I think, because I used to watch him in there was a series with some American women. Can't remember the name of it.
Don't know it.
Yeah, it was, but then he was in Never the Twain with Windsor Davis. And I'll tell you something about Windsor Davis. He was opening, it was like a kind of B&Q place in Edinburgh many years ago. And I was just a baby, and actually lifted me up when I was a baby.
Oh.
So, I could always say I got, like, he was, there was a big queue of people.
Raised to the Skies by Windsor Davis. How lovely. I'll tell you about Donald Sinden. He and Dickie Briers were both very, very good straight actors. But because they were so good at comedy, that's all they were really given a chance to do. But they were very, very good straight actors. And Ken Branagh really resuscitated Richard Briers because he put him in a lot of his Shakespeare shows. And people actually got to see what a good actor he was, rather than just being a good comedian. And somehow people look down on you if you're a good comedian. And what they don't understand is that it's not difficult to do straight drama. It's very difficult to do comedy well.
And, but it's like, we were talking earlier, about working on stage, doing stagecraft. I love doing theatre. But, you look at a lot of these actors, especially the big actors in Hollywood just now, you're talking, look at like Dwayne Johnson and all these people. Have these, all right, he did the wrestling and stuff, which could be a bit of theatre, I suppose. But, a lot of them, I don't know, I think a lot of them haven't did. Like proper... No,
a lot of them haven't. Quite a few have. People surprise you. But a lot of them are literally movie stars. And it's fine. That's absolutely fine. And they're very, very accomplished movie stars and have very good careers. And
yeah, absolutely.
Why not?
You can't really argue with that if they're and especially if if they're popular, they're getting bums on seats to see them at the cinema and stuff,
And a lot of American agents don't want their movie stars to go off and do theatre, because you get paid a lot less, and it takes a lot longer. A film you can shoot anything between 4 weeks to a year if it's a big Bond film, whereas a theatre project, you're going to have 4 weeks rehearsal, then you try it out somewhere, then you might have 3 or 6 months in the West End, then you might go to Broadway, and suddenly you've lost a year of someone's career, and the agent's not making the money, so they don't like it. But often the actor will go, no, I want to do it. And then it happens.
Now, you were in a comedy film called Off the Rails, which honestly I really want to see. And I want to see you doing comedy as well, which I know you.
Well, I'm the straight part in it. Unfortunately, I've got a couple of comedy moments, but Sally Phillips and Kelly Preston were the sort of funny characters in it. And they were wonderful. We had such a blast doing that. We filmed most of it in Mallorca, some of it elsewhere, and on trains across Europe. And Kelly has since passed away, which is doubly touching, since the film was about 3 women going on a journey in memory of their 4th friend. But Sally Phillips is a very, very funny woman, very clever, very funny. And just to be in their company I like Mallorca as well. I got there and I was so anxious and nervous, and Sally and I were sharing a car from the airport, and I said, oh, let me help you out, let me help. And of course I dropped a banjo that she was carrying something. I said, I'm so sorry, I'm not normally like this. I was like that, very unlike me, because I'm normally quite laid back. But literally within an hour of arriving in Mallorca, I went, oh, this place has got a completely different energy. And I spoke to somebody who's a Mallorcan person. They said, yeah, Mallorca means the calm island. And you can feel it. And we had just the best time. And our director let us ad lib and put in any sort of funny things we thought. And some of them stayed and some of them didn't. So no, it was great fun. And that's a film that people have enjoyed. People have watched it and gone, oh, thank you for making me laugh at a time when I needed to laugh, and thank you for talking about the menopause, but in a way that's accessible, and all of those things. No, it's good fun. It's a good laugh, that film.
You know what? I'm really looking forward to seeing it, because when I see it, I'm going to actually message you and tell you what I think and stuff.
Hey, thank you. I shall look forward to it.
But Jimmy, we're in Mallorca. Were you near Palma, or were you in Palma at all?
Yes. We're in a hotel just on the edge of Palma. It was really nice. Palma's really nice.
Really nice. Did you go to the cathedral?
Yes, we filmed in it.
Right. Did you go to the place at the side of it? Is it Cappuccino it's called?
Oh, I don't know.
It's like a little bar place you could go. It's on the side of the cathedral. It's like you could get a coffee or a beer or something.
I don't know. We filmed quite fast, so you don't have a chance. You have to go in, shoot it, and move on. But if I go back, I shall find it, Bobby.
Honestly, but I love Mallorca as well.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I like going to Palma Nova, just to relax and stuff. But Palma's a beautiful, beautiful.
I've got a friend who runs a wellness centre called Bodana there, and I made friends whilst I was there, and we've stayed really good friends, and it's the most amazing place. So if anyone's going to Mallorca, go and get yourself a massage at Bodana.
Oh, that sounds good.
You won't regret it. You won't regret it.
Brilliant. Honestly, you know what? That's one of the things. It's like I'm looking to get a new house just now, but I mean, one of the things we're thinking about doing is actually, just like just getting a holiday. Just a nice holiday and stuff. Just like to.
I've got such mixed feelings about holidays now, because I desperately want to have some sun on my bones. And just relax by a beach. And then I think, oh God, global warming, the planet, we're not supposed to fly. What do we do now? Yeah. So, you suddenly think, I can't do these things anymore. I mustn't. And there's got to be a way that people come up with, airplanes that run on hydrogen or something, or I don't know. Perhaps we'll all learn to be Captain Spock and go, beam me up, Scotty. And suddenly you're on the beach in Mallorca. Wouldn't that be nice?
You know what? It's funny that you mentioned that, because I often think that. I see that's my logic. Sometimes I think to myself, why can't we just transport onto a nice beach in Spain somewhere, or Greece or somewhere like that, and just rather than all the trouble from flying and getting there and stuff,
I know.
Are you going any holidays this year?
I've got nothing planned.
Well, I'm hoping, but again, let's fingers crossed, get this new house.
Good. Fingers very crossed. Very, very crossed for you.
But you know what, though? But I was going to actually ask you lastly, right? What, like, if you got any tips for, like, say, any young actors or that want to break into the industry, is there anything you could maybe give them a little piece of your wisdom?
Young actors who want to break in, or young actors who are already in it? Or,
well, young actors who, just who maybe are already in it, or maybe just want to maybe, it's like a guide way to.
Okay. Well, I think, gosh, there's so many things you can share. I think do your homework is really important. Mm-hmm. Get the script, get all the clues you can from the script, and then read everything you can about the background of what that place might be, or imagine it. I always write my own character's story, even down to what their birth sign is, and just tiny details so you know who you're playing. Learn your lines so that you could speak them in a war zone if you need to. And the most important thing, I think, for me, for actors, any actor, is listen. Just listen. Don't think or turn off while the other person's speaking. Observe them, listen, so that you're an open heart, and don't prepare how you're going to say your line, because if they affect you, you'll say it in a way that has been affected by what they've said. Or if it's a monologue, then let the audience affect you. Let your imagination affect you. Give vent to your imagination. But most of all, listen. Do the work and listen.
Common sense, really, isn't it? It's just, it's an easy thing, and
play. Never be afraid to play. Exactly. We're children.
Exactly. And it's like, life's too short as well, just blank them out and just concentrate on, it's like eye contact and just listening, as you said.
I actually think taking up meditation is really helpful, because it helps you focus. It helps you stay in the moment. I found that a really helpful thing to do. It's another thing.
I'll tell you what, I think I might actually maybe need to start learning how to meditate.
Well, you can get some apps on your mobile phones. I think there's one called Headspace where you get a free trial, and it teaches you just a little bit of mindfulness. And it's like learning a new language. You've got to start slowly, because we've all got these terribly busy brains, and you think, I can't empty my mind and be calm for more than 30 seconds. Or some people can't even manage that for 5 seconds. But actually, with a bit of practice, you can. And the thoughts come and you become aware of them, and then you let them go and you go back to your breathing, and then the thoughts come again and you become aware of them and you go back to your breathing, and eventually you become the master of your busy brain. It's all about awareness to start with, but it really does help you focus. And I think that's really important for an actor. Concentration, focus, incredibly important to be in the moment.
I'm actually I'm going to take your word, and I'm going to actually maybe try and start meditating, just to, what was the name of the app you said?
Headspace. It's a mindfulness app.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, I tell you what, Jen, honestly, we've covered more or less everything that we've did, and I'm just glad we're away from all the wee gremlins from the start,
I know.
But you know what? It's like, honestly, I am just so delighted that you've came on here and gave me your time to just, answer the
Well, listen, it's my honor. It's my privilege. You've given up your time to sit there and let's have a chat. So thank you.
Oh, absolutely.
Really, thank you.
Could chat anytime. It's just been an honor talking to you. And, just thank you so much for being on the pod blast. You could call it the podcast, the pod blast,
It's a pod blast.
But you know what, Jenny, honestly, thank you so much for coming on. And, it's, all the best to whatever you're doing just now. And, I'm definitely going to be watching Judge John Deere again, and Off the Rails. I'm definitely watching Off the Rails, and I'm going to tell you what I think about it.
Thank you. Right.
Absolutely not a problem. It's been an absolute pleasure, Jen, honestly. And listen, I hope you have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you. You too. You take care of yourself.
Will do.
Okay, God bless.
Jen. All the best to you. Okay. Bye-bye.